threat projections indicate that if there is an attack from the eastern border, it is likely to be in the desert terrain of Sindh and southern Punjab. In charge of the defense of the desert is the 5 Corps, also known as Pakistan's Desert Corps. What is the strategic importance of this formation and how does mechanization fit into its battle plan?
5 Corps is essentially a defensive corps, and we're responsible for a swath of area substantially large, covering most of Sindh, parts of Punjab. Within that defensive capability, have a very powerful offensive capability inbuilt to our corps.
That defensive stance with an offensive capability is a vital component of Pakistani war doctrine, part of the offensive defense strategy propagated in the 1980s by former Army Chief Mirza Aslam Beg. His closing address at Exercise Zarb-e-Momin provides insight into the Pakistan Army's ghazot-e when it comes to its war doctrine.
पहला बड़ा मकसद ये है कि हमको ये देखना था कि हमारी अपनी लश्करी और फिक्री सलाहियतें क्या हैं, और तीसरा बड़ा मकसद ये था कि हम इस एक्सरसाइज को इस लेवल पे करके अपना एक बहुत ही अहम दीनी और नजरियाती जिम्मेदारी पूरी करें। इसलिए अल्लाह ताला से हुक्म है कि हमेशा अपनी तैयारी करें।
But that was the 1980s. What is the importance of mechanized warfare today? Desert Corps officers say that mechanization is important because the perceived enemy is mechanized as well.
You know, since we are operating in the desert, and since we feel that if the enemy were to come into the desert, I mean, they would be using mechanized forces to be able to exploit the vastness and the accessibility of the desert, and therefore, in response to that, you have to be, equally equipped.
We focus on conventional operations for our mechanized infantry, and this is as a response to what our envisaged threat is doing, where there is a tremendous emphasis on mechanization, on high-speed operations in tandem with special forces, and possibly a short, intense war. So, in sync with that kind of an envisaged threat, we're looking at the mechanized infantry becoming more and more the backbone of our response.
But besides the threat from the east, Pakistan is also facing an insurgency in its northwest. While the threat from India is a conventional one, where the mechanized infantry has an obvious role to play, what is the role of the mechanized infantry in this new, low-intensity conflict, or as the army calls it, LIC?
In LIC situations, basically, first, this infantry battalion is like any other infantry battalion. It can operate without APCs like a normal regular infantry battalion. Yes, wherever there is a speed required for the operation, the APCs give an added advantage to a mechanized infantry. So, in fact, the mechanized infantry has been very useful while operating in a LIC environment.
However, the general officer commanding of a mechanized division had another perspective. He stressed that mechanization is not important for low-intensity conflict, but rather is primarily meant to counter the threat from the east.
Mechanization, that is to meet the LIC, is not the essential requirement. It is to be in keeping with the threat we have from the east in our southern part of the country, and we have done enough, and I think we have a requisite response to guard against any such threat.
But considering that the majority of the infantry is not mechanized, how do non-mechanized, or as they are called, standard infantry units, see this? Is there a silver lining in the still not mechanized cloud? One standard unit's officers defended the traditional role.
You cannot rule out the importance of foot infantry. Foot infantry is at the same time very important, because when you have to go and capture the ground, you have to stick there, and for that the foot infantry is required.
So, where is the new Pakistani infantry headed in terms of mechanization? Is it on time or late?
Realization was always there, and we mechanized our infantry units as back as 1980s. I won't say we are lacking behind. Yes, we are late.